Hello and welcome to the Unique CPA with your host, Randy Crabtree. Bridging the Gap 2026 is coming soon, so we're bringing you conversations from last year's event. Stay tuned for the thoughts of top voices in the profession as we look forward to BTG Charlotte. The Unique CPA is brought to you by randycrabtree.com. Log on to learn more.
Hi, Randy Crabtree here. We are recording live at the Bridging the Gap Conference 2025 in Denver, Colorado. Day 2, afternoon of day 2, and I am sitting with Nancy McClelland. Nancy, thanks for sitting down and having this discussion.
Thank you so much for inviting me to be here, not just at the conference, but at this table.
Well, this is an amazing honor for me to be able to sit here with you at this table right now. So, but let's jump into this. And talk about the conference, because I know you have some thoughts about this conference.
I do.
And I'd like to get your ideas of what you like about this conference in general, but then I want to talk about this year, because I'm feeling something different this year.
Yeah.
So just talk about why this conference is important to you.
All right. Well, first, again, thank you very much for having me here. And I am really excited to talk about this. It's one of my favorite topics because, as you know, and I have said numerous times in my MSN article for my Ask A CPA group with the bookkeeping buds on social, this is my very favorite conference. And I write an article every year on my top 10 accounting conferences. This is number 1. And the reason it's number 1 for me, and this was from the first year, is that I'm really challenged by working too much. And I'm challenged by working too hard. And I'm challenged sometimes by trying to find that balance between the amount of work I'm doing and the meaning and the mission behind the work. And when I came to Bridging the Gap the first time, I didn't know what to expect. And I came away with so many actionable insights on what I can do to run a sustainable CPA firm. And we put them immediately into, not all of the things that I learned because there was too much, but one piece at a time, we just started implementing them. And my firm, I can honestly say, I don't think I've ever said this to you before, my firm is honestly substantially healthier than it was than when I came to the first Bridging the Gap, and in no small part because of this conference.
Wow, that's amazing. And that's one of the reasons we started this conference, because we saw there was different ways to run a practice, and we saw there was different ways to take care of yourself as well as your practice, and to hear that that's been implemented, because I'm always afraid that people leave here and that was great information, and then they forget about it, and then they come back next year and think that was great information.
Challenge. I think that's a challenge at any conference. Yep. It's very hard to find that time. You've got a lot of enthusiasm, you've got a lot of emotion, there's a lot of feel good, especially at Bridging the Gap. There's a lot of feel good. It's an incredible group of people that are attending. It's an incredible group of people that are presenting. But then, you got to get back home and you got to find the time to implement those things. So many of the things that I learned at Bridging the Gap in the first 2 years, and now, halfway through this 3rd year, were things that actually, they weren't even that hard to implement. Part of it was being given the ideas in the first place, right? So the creativity of some of the ideas that we're hearing. Part of it was being given permission. And that is really hard. Part of it was just sort of comparing notes with my colleagues and seeing what they're doing that has worked for them, but also what has not worked for them. Because what's going to work for one person isn't necessarily going to work from another. And there's such an emphasis on lots of collaborative sessions here, lots of panels. We get to hear from more than one person how a particular topic is being addressed. And so I get to hear, I don't think it's going to work. That's going to work for me, but maybe this other way is really going to work for me. So I'm not saying that these things are easy to implement, but they're a lot more tangible and effective and actionable than most of the other conferences that I go to.
Yeah. And just having this open mindset to think I can, or I should.
The permission is important. I have a friend who, she teases me sometimes. She's like, Nancy, stop shoulding all over yourself.
I've heard this. Yeah.
But, it's true. I feel bad because I didn't do this or I didn't do that. And Bridging the Gap is not about that. It's about seeing the potential and then, picking a few of those things that are going to make the biggest impact in your practice.
Yep. And not getting overwhelmed with the options, because there are. I mean, how many sessions do we have here? There's a lot of sessions.
One of the only complaints I have about bridging the gap is that I can't be in more than one place at the same time. I wish I had Hermione's time turner from Harry Potter, where I could just go back and take every single session that's being offered. It's a weird complaint to have, because it's a good problem.
We're very fortunate. We have very good speakers. So let's talk, because I mentioned earlier, this year, every year has felt amazing to me. And every year is I've really enjoyed it, and I really see that people are enjoying it, which makes me excited to see that people are enjoying it. That's, to me, been even elevated this year. I don't know. I shouldn't have led with that kind of question, but what do you think?
You're not leading the witness on this one, because I feel the same way. We ran into each other in the hallway, and you were like, wow, I checked in with you. And I was like, really, how are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
And you were like, I feel great. I feel like there's something different this year. There's just like, you can feel it in the air. It's just so positive. And I have some theories about that.
Yes.
I think part of it is that a lot more people signed up this year.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of them are first timers. And they heard, somebody mentioned it the first day when you were asking the crowd, like, why are you here? Somebody said, the hive mind. The hive mind told me this was the place to be. Well, I'm part of the hive mind, right?
You are.
And what they heard was all of the types of things that I just told you.
Mm-hmm.
And also they heard about the emphasis on mental health. They heard about the emphasis on vulnerability. They heard about how important it is that we put our oxygen masks on first, right? They heard about that. And then they say, well, I want to go to this conference because I want to find out, is this hive mind? Like, is this real? Are they saying this place really exists? Is this Brigadoon truly? Is this?
Right.
And so they have come in with a new energy and a new optimism and a new enthusiasm that I feel like has even leveled it up from where it's been before. That's my theory about why this year feels even more.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's a lot of all of that you just said. And then all the people that have been here the first 2 years, and this is what you're getting into, the hive mind as well, that have raved about, and you've been a champion for this, and I appreciate that. And I didn't mention, but you are also part of the advisory council, which has been unbelievably beneficial to me and helpful to me. So thank you for that.
It was wonderful when you asked me, and you were like, you can take time to think about it. And I'm like, I just did. Yeah, the answer is yes. I had no hesitation.
Yeah, but all those people from the first 2 years, and all the raving they've done and all the posting that they've done about this, I think created that hive mind, created that sense of, I can't miss this. I've missed this. Look at what I missed the first 2 years. I can't do this again. And they've come in with this energy of anticipation, expectation, and I'm going to meet new people that is just, I walk to the house and I just feel a new energy. And it was great the first 2 years. And it's just even elevated this year. So I think you and I are on the same page.
Absolutely.
Where we're going.
And I want to add to that,
Yes.
I feel like sometimes it takes people some warming up at a conference before they get to the point where they feel like they have something to contribute.
Yeah.
Because one of the wonderful things about being at conferences in general, but I'm going to say Bridging the Gap in particular, is that it's not just about being talked to. Right? It's not just like the speaker is going to talk to me and I'm going to take notes and then I'm going to go back home and implement it. There's a lot of brainstorming. There's a lot of bringing fresh ideas. There's a lot of sharing what our pain points and what our challenges are with each other, which of course, as you know, I feel like vulnerability is definitely a strength. And one of those strengths is when we are coming together to share what our challenges are, not just our solutions, but our challenges. It makes other people, it gives them permission to be like, oh, actually, I struggle with that too. I don't have to pretend to be a superhero. And I feel like from the first moments of the first day, people were already ready to participate.
Well, and that was proved out that first session that I did. When I asked that question of why are you here, the very first person that answered was their very first conference ever. They started their firm 8 months ago or even less than that. Yeah. And they were the first one to participate and speak up.
And two of the people that I've heard participating the most are two members of my Ask A CPA community that won Accounting Cornerstone Foundation scholarships. Now you're on the board of the Accounting Cornerstone Foundation. these are scholarships that are specifically for people who have never attended an accounting conference of any kind.
Right.
And, it's an all expenses paid trip. They are two of the people I'm seeing interacting the most, making sure that they're connecting with new people, making sure that they're doing the networking to creating the community so they can go back home and continue to draw on that throughout the rest of the year.
I actually probably think that that's partly because of the community that they're in already, which is Ask A CPA. Why don't you give us a little, again, which is you run, can you give us a little background on that community?
Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I have to thank you personally and Bridging the Gap from last year because there were a bunch of people who ended up joining my Ask A CPA community. I think I had either just launched or was just about to launch the community right when last year's Bridging the Gap happened. And I won an award at Bridging the Gap for Mentor of the Year, which was very special to me. And I found out afterward that a lot of these people who it turned out had been asking me to start a community, they had all nominated me for that award. And they didn't tell me about it. And I found out afterward. It was very special. So Ask A CPA is a community that I run. It is a paid subscription community. And what it is it's designed for bookkeepers who they have questions for their clients, tax professionals, but for whatever reason, they feel like they can't ask those questions. Now, it could be because the CPA is too busy, which happens a lot. They're just non-responsive. They haven't been attending Bridging the Gap, so they don't know about managing their workflows efficiently, and so they're feeling overwhelmed. It could be because they don't have good communication skills, which is the case, unfortunately, with a lot of tax pros who do tax only. It could be because they are condescending toward bookkeepers and they actually think less of them. There are lots of different reasons. So I wanted to create a space because I truly believe that the capacity crunch that we're seeing throughout the accounting world, specifically in tax and audit, that capacity crunch is really threatening the quality of our profession and the quality of the services that we're providing to small business owners and therefore threatening the fabric of our communities. I will go so far as to say this is a serious problem for everyone. They tax preparers, they can't be cleaning up the books during tax season. So they should want to collaborate with these bookkeepers and answer their questions and figure out ways that they can be more efficient, figure out ways that they can be on the same page and not performing some of the same duties. And so my bookkeepers in this amazing group, they ask their questions. I answer their questions both in our circle community and twice a month on recorded calls. And then we parse each of those questions out and make them all searchable. So that's
great.
It's been amazing. It's been absolutely amazing. We have 16 of our members here at the conference this year.
That's amazing. I said you were a champion for this conference. You definitely are. So thank you for that. So let's talk about this conference and specifically your sessions, because you have two sessions. The first one I want to talk about the one that has to do, that interacts, is probably inspired by, I assume, Ask A CPA.
Yes. So that one is called Effective Collaboration Between Bookkeepers and Tax Pros. So very directly related to Ask A CPA. Now on Ask A CPA, I get to talk to the bookkeeper side of things, right? I get to hear their questions. I get to hear their complaints. At Tax Twitter Retreat, last year, I got to talk to the tax pros and find out what are their frustrations, and what do they want bookkeepers to know that they feel like bookkeepers don't know? What are their horror stories? And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to bring those together because at Bridging the Gap, I can get both of those sets of people in the same room. And so, we're going to talk about why we should bother. Spoiler alert, one of the reasons is that the other person that you're working with is a human too. And life is just better when we remember that we're working with other human beings. But there are a lot of more work-centric reasons for this collaboration to exist. And we talked about the capacity crunch. So I'm excited because I'm going to be able to talk about why this is important. I'm going to be talking about how we do it. And then I'm going to bring up a couple of special guests from the audience who are going to tell us about some of their personal experiences. So I'm pretty excited about it. And then the other session was one that I did earlier today, which was so much fun. I don't know that I've ever had more fun putting on a session.
Nice.
It was on taking reasonable compensation for S corps. So pretty technical topic, but it was about taking that and making it not only an audit risk where we're protecting our clients, but how to turn that into an advisory win, which is in keeping with this bridging the gap theme of how do we increase the amount of revenue that we are generating from our existing clients, not just churn and burn and getting new clients and moving on to the next one, but looking at our existing clients, showing them that we care about them and that we're taking care about them. And at the same time, protecting ourselves from preparer penalties and increasing our revenue. That was with Alnisha Jones and Don Brolin, and we had a blast. It was so good.
I'm sure you did. I was able to step in for a few minutes, and I could tell you definitely were having a blast. So I want to wrap up. I want to thank you, and I want to thank you for multiple things. I want to thank you for sitting down with me today. I want to thank you for being on the advisory council. I want to thank you for what you're doing to try to make this profession better for everybody, from a mental side, from a work-life balance side, from everything. And the sessions that you did today and the sessions you're doing tomorrow are really leaning into that. So thank you so much.
Can I thank you also, because I have one thing that we haven't mentioned that I really want to thank Bridging the Gap and the Unique CPA podcast for, which was you were the person who helped question Telka and I launched the She Counts podcast, which is the Real Talk podcast for women in accounting. Back in April, you were our launch interview. It was absolutely wonderful. You've been an ally and an advocate, and we are so lucky to have you. So thank you very much.
Well, thanks again for being here.
Thank you for joining us today on the Unique CPA. You can find the show notes for today's episode and book Randy for your next keynote or event at randycrabtree.com. Remember to subscribe and leave a 5-star rating on your favorite podcasting app. And join us next time for more expertise and insights on the Unique CPA.
Professionalproductions.net